Okay guys, welcome back to our car modeling tutorial here. So in the last episode what we did was we worked on the wing section here and we moved up towards the roof there. Now just bear in mind, you may want to take a few seconds just to look at my mesh here. I did make a few tweaks, just a few minor tweaks in between episodes here just to make sure that we are working with the interest of time in hand. Now what we're going to work on today is we're going to continue up the roof, hopefully get down the back of the car ready to start on the rear end. So what we're going to do is dive right into our roof section up here. Now the roof of this car is fairly tricky. Now we can't really see on these blueprints, but there is a few angles inside here that we do need to have a think about. So we can see we've got a few images here. So we can see that we have a crease running down here. We've got one just here as well. And we can see that these actually start down here right at the front, which run all the way across. So we've got to be mindful of those. We've also got to be mindful of where we need to go going down the back section here. So jumping back in, what we're going to do is we will use our edges again. So we'll right click on this element and we'll select edges. What we're going to do is select the very top section here. We're going to Control E again to bring up our extrude tool on the world option, and then we're going to come down along here. So we're going to come down just a little bit, and this is going to give us our first section of the roof here. And pull this into place at the top, so maybe not quite so long there. So what we're going to do is we will base this section. We'll use this section as a map essentially to create the whole of the roof. So we're going to extrude up and across the roof here, thinking about the creases that we've got to work with, and then we're going to take the whole roof down to the other side here in one go. So we've got our first section there. What we're going to do is we're going to take our edge here and we're going to Control E to extrude again with the world option, and we're just going to take this straight into the middle right off the bat. And using our vertices here, we'll select our vertices, hold X in order to snap to the center of the grid, both of these sections here. So the front one we will bring forward here, and we'll bring the back section forward just a little bit. So we can kind of see here that we've got a little bit of detail on our blueprint, and we can kind of see where our sections meet up here, going across there as well. So what we're going to aim to do is we are probably going to have to insert a few cuts here. So first things first, our insert edge loop. We're going to bring one in fairly close to this edge here. This is going to be the section that's going to run down there. Maybe we'll take it a little bit closer here. And what we're actually going to do is, before we do anything else, is we're just going to adjust this slightly to make sure that we're in the correct position. Make it a little bit higher so we don't have to fiddle around with it too much afterwards. Yeah. And looks like we need to bring these points up just a little bit as well. And then these points here we need to take all the way to the top. Yeah. Check our front view just to make sure that that's seeing roughly where we need it to be. Cool. So we can see here that we're a little bit out with our mesh. So what we can do is we can bring this down just to kind of make that corner section there. And then we had another section here. So we can see that we have actually this comes out from all the way over here along with the secondary one. We'll maybe put a third down this section there. Okay, so tell a lie, we don't actually need this line here. So we're going to select that line and we will delete the edge of the vertex. Okay, let's try again. So it looks like there's going to be two lines here, fairly central. So we'll bring those in. We're going to edit the position of these elements here, just to bring them where they need to be in terms of our viewports. Good. Okay, and we're going to move these up here. Now these two sections, one is actually going to tail off and become part of this crease, and one is going to become part of this crease here. So it means that we don't have much room down there, but what we'll do is we'll add one down here and we'll add one in here, just to give us a little bit more to work with. And it's going to allow us here to make sure that our windscreen section is curving nicely. Okay. We kind of want to mimic that curve over here as well. Okay. So that's looking okay just now, so we can see where those curves actually take off over there. Cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of these edges here. We can hold Control to deselect all the other edges. We're going to hit E so we can extrude, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this all the way down to the back of the loop here. The reason we're going to do this is so that we can do it all in a one, and we don't need to come back and forth every 2 seconds and invert these here and there. So we can line up our creases that we know are correct here. And we can take this one there, and we're going to be adding more horizontal subdivisions inside here once we've aligned these sections. So we know that this section here actually wants to go halfway down here. This is going to be our crease over there. This is going to be over here, and that's looking pretty good. There. Again, we want to just make sure that we're just behind these lines, so we're able to cut them out in the correct place in a few episodes time. Cool. And then we're going to position these where they should be along the side of the model as well. Okay, it's looking pretty good just now. So what we want to do is we just want to make sure that we're going to keep this section nice and curved. So what we're going to do here is we are going to use our mesh tool. We're going to insert some edge loops, and as soon as we've inserted these loops in, we're just going to drag them up into position. We know that they're roughly correct as we go. And again, we're going to go mesh tools, insert edge loop. We'll add 2 more in here, and again insert our edge loop further back down the back here. We can move that up as well. Cool. So we've roughly got the correct shape for our roof here. What we can do is check the front view, and what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that these are sit in how they should. So you can see that there's a little bit of a discrepancy here. Now I know when it comes to the actual model that there is a crease going down there, that's fine, crease going down here. So we know that there is supposed to be this section here. So what we're actually going to do here is we're just going to drop this a little bit here. And what we're actually going to do is this line here is we're going to add a little bit of height to this. So we can see here, just going to pull that up slightly, but what we're going to do for each of these sections here is we're just going to pull these up nice and high here, just so our roof is flat. We're going to do the same for all of these sections. Just going to make sure it's got a little bit of a bulge, just so it's got a little bit of height in, because later on what we will be needing to do is a little bit of extrusion here, just to add in those details within those creases potentially. Okay, so we can see now that we're starting to develop this roof shape, which is looking quite good. So we can see that we have a nice section going across the back there. So what we're going to do just now is, rather than continuing down the rest of the roof, is we're going to move along the side of the car. So we're going to try and move along, maybe to the edge of the door here in this episode. So in order to do this, we're going to need to select all the edges here, and then we're going to extrude along down here. So we're going to hit E, Control E on our world option, and we're going to drag it along to about here. So you can see that here we've got quite a prominent corner. So we're going to bring that along to there. We can also see that it's nicely in line with this section that's right at the top here. So what we're going to do in this section with our vertices is we are going to drag down to the corresponding position. We're going to try and keep everything roughly in line for a nice smooth curve to keep everything on the See that this crease here is just moved up. Again, just moving it up. And see this huge movement up. Okay, so we are going to need another subdivision again in here, but we'll do that in the later stage. Just now we'll work on the main shape of the door, which is looking fairly good. To bring this bit out here. Good. So now see that door shape there looking quite good as we come along. We're going to do the exact same as we've just done. We're going to use the edge, we're going to Control E, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to drag all the way to the end of the door. So just like we have on everything else, we're going to bring it to its furthest point, which is going to mean that we're going to have less work to do on the sections in between here. Bring all of this up here. So we've got to be mindful here that our crease is still moving up. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to move all of these points above a little bit closer together, which is going to allow us to drop this piece in position here. There. Yes, we're going to get it nice and close and make sure that this is okay. And then we're going to check on our vertical view here, so we can see that that's sitting almost perfectly on the actual door itself. Now we don't want to take too much in, we'll take in a little bit, because we know that the Huracan model actually bursts out just after this arch, so we can see that it's actually coming quite far out the way, so it's almost as if the door kind of tucks in a little bit here, and then the only point we really need to move considerably is there. You can see that we've taken that shape into these sections here. Now because we move these points a little bit further back, they're going back on themselves, we do need to make sure that we're still maintaining the similar kind of level of curves that we had before. So we want to kind of keep this line here similar to how it is further down there. Now we'll have a better idea of how this should sit once we extrude out towards the rear arch as well. Okay, cool. So we can see here that we're getting the actual proper shape of the car now. We can see that we're moving on quite nicely here. Okay. What we are going to do just now is we are going to firstly move this vertices a little bit higher, so we can kind of see that the car actually raises a section there, so this actually folds underneath. What we will do is we're going to add a subdivision in place. So we're going to use our mesh tool so it's easier to see. We're going to insert our edge loop just along here. What we'll actually do is we will insert our edge loop here. So that means we can extrude this section out on its own. So if we pull these points down here, and again, because we've added those points in and we've moved them slightly, we just need to make sure that we're still looking good down the side here. We don't ever want to ignore the changes there. Cool. So what we're actually going to do here is we can see is we have this section here that protrudes out somewhat on the side of the vehicle. So, and we can see that on the side view here that it starts just off the arch there. So if we have a look, you can see that actually starts right off the bat. Okay. So what we'll do here is we're going to hit our face and we're going to click on all of these. So we're going to right click on our model select face. We're going to right click on all these sections here to highlight them. We're going to extrude them just like we do with the different edges. So we're going to hit Control E. We're going to come out on the world again and see if we can pull this. Now, when we click on the outer section, it's going to give us this rotate tool. And this rotate tool here, first of all, what we're going to do is just rotate it around so we can see that our first edges are coming in here a little bit. But we're also, before we do the rotation, what we will actually do is just scale it in so it's in a perfect straight line. And then we will rotate. Okay. So what we have here is this section here that's protruding out slightly. Now what we actually want to do is we want it to follow the correct line for this car. So if we click on this front vertices here, we can pull it down. And the front vertices here we can pull down. Vertices. Pull that down here. And we'll grab these ones whilst we're here. We'll pull those down as well. So we're going to pull those down to match just there. It's looking good. Needs to be a little bit higher. Perfect. Okay, and what we want to do here just now is we want to select our face and we want to delete the faces that have come with this extrusion here on the edges. And this underside we actually still want to keep because it's what actually we see here. And we can actually see this section on our top view. So we can see here how far out from the car it actually protrudes. So we can take that in a little bit there, also a little bit here. Okay, cool. So we've got that little lip there which is going to turn into the actual intake for the vehicle. Okay, so we're looking good here. So what we're going to do to round this episode off is we are going to add some more subdivisions going vertically down this door. So we're going to edit mesh here, I'm going to insert some edge loops. And the edge loops that we add here are going to reflect what we have on the roof here. So it's going to make it easy for us when we come to making our windows section. So I'm going to add a loop here, here, and here. Actually, let's go back. Sidebar down there, just in front of the door handle. Now, because we extruded straight down and we've got the door in there, we know that the positions of those elements is perfect. We don't need to change those at all. That means that when we come to smoothing this section, it's going to be beautiful straight down there with no issues at all. Okay. So when we come back in the next episode, we're just going to double check to make sure that this curvature matches the actual car itself, and then we'll probably work our way down the roof all the way into the back end, and then we can start the details around there. But to round off this episode, as we usually do, we will Control D, Control G, and flip this on the x-axis with a -1, just so we can see exactly how far we've come.